I would seriously just off all the people in this game. Oh wait, I have. Hello everyone, author DL Tillery here, the Mistress of Horror, and welcome back to my channel. Before we get started, how about you press that subscribe button, give this video a like, and ring that bell so you know when I'm uploading new videos. Welcome back to Mistress Mood and Candlelight, where I talk about horror movies, horror books, or horror video games while I put on makeup. So we are covering Until Dawn, actually. And Until Dawn is a campy horror type of game. It's very fun for me, the Mistress of Horror, because I like the dark, I like the creatures, I like the blood, the gore, things that could happen there. And this all is in Until Dawn. It is a nice, yummy, dark treat. In this video, you will hear me talking about the game. There are spoilers. I'm warning you now. If you haven't beaten this game, you plan on playing this game, and you don't want to know anything about it, you can skip ahead. So, you could still watch the video, but you could just skip ahead if you don't want to know any little trade secrets of the story. Now, the video clips that will be in between here of the game to give you insight of what the game looks like and such are courtesy of Wyvernshido over at Wyvern True Gaming here on YouTube, which I will link his channel below. It's been a minute since he's uploaded, but he does have a well of game videos, and I recommend his channel because he is one of those top tier gamers who knows what he's doing, okay? So the video clips in this will be courtesy of him, so I needed some help with this one because I did not have my own footage available. I just wanted to give him a shout out and make sure you subscribe to his channel if you have not subscribed and you're interested in video games. Definitely check him out because he knows what he's doing. Let's go ahead and jump into the premiere of Until Dawn. See you on the flip side. Hello everyone, and it's time to prime for the premiere. And we're talking Until Dawn. Until Dawn released in August 2015. So it's been a minute. It was the first game I played by Supermassive Games, which is the developer of Until Dawn. They have since gone ahead and made quite a many horror games, because obviously this is a horror game. And I must say, I do like their work. It is horror, so obviously I would be very interested in it, you know. So they've released 4 games in the Dark Pictures anthology, and they've also released another game called The Query. I have all of those, so don't be surprised if you see those in future episodes. But yes, Until Dawn is like their first baby that was introduced for this type of horror game. Very campy style game. You can play this game multiple times and have different outcomes. The draw for me for Until Dawn is obviously the horror aspects, the campiness of it, and then the mystery behind the game, which we'll get into later. I will warn you now, this is a spoiler. This is going to be a spoiler style review because, you know, it's going to be a little hard not to because of the premise and talking about it. So some things will get spoiled. There will be clips in between of some of the video, but not a lot, but some. So you get a feel of the game. You really could watch this game if you're not a person who plays games, but it is a good experience to play it, and or your decisions affect the outcome of the game's ending, I should say, and the relationships between the characters. That being said, definitely I would recommend trying it out. It released on the PlayStation 4. It is not on the Xbox. But anyway, if you don't have a PlayStation 4 and you don't play video games, you can look at a full playthrough of the game here on YouTube if you are interested in seeing different outcomes that different people played and what happened. The game is story driven. It is usual for their stuff to be story driven. That's what they do. The games are, very story focused. In this case, Until Dawn is a little bit different in some. Like, you do have to play it. It is gameplay involved, but Until Dawn is a little bit different than even the other ones, like in the Dark Pictures anthology series. Then we're gonna go ahead and, after I'm primed, which I am about completely primed here, put my glow on, we're gonna talk about the premise of the game. The premise. I get very emotional when I play this game. I get very emotional when I talk about this game, and you'll find out really soon why that is. A few things. The company Supermassive Games, the 4 games that I mentioned about in the Dark Pictures anthology, which is called, from the last to the first one they released in that series, is The Devil in Me, which is the most recent, House of Ash, Little Hope, and Man of Medan. I get the Little Hope and Man of Medan's releases a little mixed up. But I've gotten each one as they released. I pre-ordered them. And I've played all of them. I have not beat The Devil in Me as of yet. I am in the midst of playing it. It's kind of a slow burn for me because it being a thriller style, which is my least favorite type of horror. So, that being said, it's still good. It's just that it's very slow. Then they have the one that's the offset, not in the Dark Pictures series, is The Quarry, which is werewolf based, which is, yay, werewolves. Werewolves for the win, because everyone forgets about the freaking werewolves all the time. But yeah, so this is their thing. This is what they do. So if you're interested in horror games, they definitely are they are a company to look out for. And there's a specific character in their series that I like to talk about in the Dark Pictures anthology. The curator, who I am quite sure is death. So, so I just wanted to mention the curator because he's a very interesting character in the game that kind of opens the games up in a very movie-esque way, and they always play the death song in different versions of it. Oh, Death. It is a very good song, by the way. But yeah, I wanted to mention that character before we get into the actual premise and then the plot and then the characters. The premise and the plot. The game starts with 10 characters in the opening. They're at a lodge in the mountains. This is Native American lands. Definitely it goes into that somewhat. It does go into that and mention it. And in the lodge you'll see some Native American things around, and it's mentioned for the animal part of it. If you hurt nature, then it changes your outcome of what could happen to because of your choices. The friends, and I use that word loosely, friends, sure. So the lodge cabin, it's in the mountains, is really the cabin of 3 of the 10 people that's there, and the 3 are siblings, and the lodge belongs to their parents. So they invite their other friends to the lodge, and they decide they're going to pull a prank on one of the specific girls who happens to be a twin of one of the other girls. That's the sisters of the one guy. Now, you literally get invited to someone's house. This is your rich friends too, because always have a lot of money. You get invited to your friend's house, and then you pull a prank because you don't like the one girl in someone else's house. Like, the nerve of some people. I can't get into that right now, but so that's pretty much the start of the game. That's what happens. And it's like cold winter. It's like snowstorm going on up here. Like I said, it is Native American ties in this, as far as the land and things, and then the atmosphere of hurting nature. You shouldn't do that. And there are some other things later on that come into play that are relatable to Native American culture and myth and legend as well. Some bad things go down while they're there, and some of the characters die right at the opening. Brutally. Like off a cliff brutally. And at the fault of some of the prank. I don't like bullying. Because that's what it was. Prank. A prank. Okay. A prank is when I put, you know, juice in your cup and then I poked a hole at the bottom of the cup, and when you went to pick it up, the juice spilled all over the floor, over your shoes. That could be a prank. But when I put your life in danger and also your mental stability, then it's bullying. Maybe someone should tell them that. Let's move on to the characters. I'm gonna list them off for you real quick here. We have Sam. We'll get to her in a second. We have Mike. We have Josh, who I really like Josh. He's played by Remy. Oh, Remy. Ashley. Ugh, that's... I really don't like Ashley. There's a lot of people in here like most all of them. We have Chris. He's whatever. Emily. Matt. Jessica. Again, whatever to her. And the twins, Hannah and Beth. Okay. So you have Hannah and Beth. Josh is the brother of the twins, Hannah and Beth. Hannah is more, you know, mousy, kind of like quiet. They don't like her as much. Beth is the more one that everyone likes because I guess she's more hip, or I'm saying like a million years old. She's more cool. I guess they just like her better. They don't like Hannah. And then there's like a thing going on where Hannah likes Mike, because it seems to me, like, I'm just gonna say it, all the girls seem to be like on Mike's jockstrap. Like all of the girls like Mike, okay? So, but trying to pretend like they don't like Mike, Sam for one. And so they decided they're going to run a prank on him. Now, mind this, in this whole setting, Sam is friends with Hannah and Beth. So she's friends with Hannah, supposedly really close friends with Hannah, but she does not warn her about this prank. Because she feels that it's good for her to realize that Mike doesn't like her and Mike's not worth it, and she should just stop liking him. So she allows this prank to happen and tries to pretend that she's going to stop it right as it's occurring. But too late, girl. A bit too late. Like, who friend are you, really? Oh, you know why? Well, you're a friend? Because you also liked Mike secretly. Why would trying to pretend you didn't? Or you didn't want her to have Mike? Or, listen, I know people be like, well, it's not really. She was just... No. Because if somebody was doing that to my friend, I'ma tell her. Like, even if her feelings like they trying to set you up, don't go in there, don't do that. Like, they know it's a trick. Leave her a note pretending like Mike said come meet her in the room. Like, you gonna do this at somebody else's house? Like, so they, it's, Anyway, this is the opening. This is the prank. They pretty much try to get her like she gonna hook up with Mike, and he's like in on it kind of, but Mike don't care, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? Like, he don't care. So he's like, whatever. He probably would have been with her, or like, you know, messed around with her at least. He wouldn't care. I'm just saying, like, wasn't like he was like, oh, I'm opposed to it. Not really. Like, he's like, I don't belong to nobody, even though I got a girlfriend. So he was dating one of the girls at the time, and the other one thought she was helping Jess and Emily. Emily's the real good instigator, and Ashley's a real bad instigator. Like, and people actually liked this character, like, liked Ashley. Like, no. Like, no. She's the worst. She's the worst, because she don't even want to admit that she was terrible, and then what they did was terrible. Like, we always having fun. Listen, I'm going off. I'm going off. Anyway, they pull the prank. She gets hurt by emotionally by the prank. She runs out because she takes her shirt off. She has a bra on her, but she takes her shirt off and she's embarrassed, and they're like laughing and recording it. They recorded it. And then she runs away. She runs out the house. There's no way I would have ran out of my lodge. Like, they would have got out into the storm. Like, go back down the mountain somehow. Like, I wouldn't have ran out in the storm. So Beth runs after her, and then Emily's like, it's just a prank, Han. What? It's just a prank hand. Oh, like, right. Anyway, so she runs out, Beth chases her, and then something starts chasing them. Something in the woods, some creature or something. So they fall off the cliff. They give you a choice right here to choose to let your sister go or fall with her. It doesn't matter which one you pick, you're both done. Okay? So either way, whichever one you pick at this point, it's over. Beth and Hannah are gone. They falling off the cliff. They're bouncing. The bodies is broken. It's no good. It's bad. Right out the gate. Then roll credits for opening. It starts. This is the opening of the game. Then we get the song, the opening song and stuff and all that jazz. Cryptic opening and things. So now that we've talked about some of these characters, we haven't talked about them, but you get the premise probably from my facial expressions, okay? And so now we are going to talk about the plot. Yeah, that's not the main plot. Well, it's connected to it, but we're going to get into the plot now. The plot. The game, after the opening, you will get a video playing of Josh, brother of the two twins who died at the start. Having a video sent to all his air quote friends, right? Friends. And he's talking about, like, let's go back to the lodge and, you know, let's party like porn stars. That's what he says. And, you know, something, just to talk off subject a little bit, it's not really off subject, just about this. The people, like, who covered this game, like, they had a problem with him saying that. Like, why? Like, they had a problem with him saying that line. Like, I think they were trying to find fault with Josh. And I'm not trying to be funny, but I think they were trying to find fault with him so they can just not like him for no reason. Because his sisters and him are the victims here. And I think the people watching the game and people playing the game kind of just didn't want to like Josh. Like, he has mental health issues. Mostly because his sisters died like that and he felt like it was his fault. He felt guilty. His sisters are dead and he feels at fault. And the supposed friends are at the fault that why they're dead. Okay. They all come back to the lodge, okay? They all come back to the lodge. They meet there. You know, they gotta come up there and then you get to control the different characters, different integrals. And then you get to know them, like, depending on how you answer things during this time, that this affects the relationships between the characters and what happens. To me, in the setting of the story, Sam has some kind of feelings for Josh at this point. You know, some time has passed. Mike, who's the popular one that the girls all seem to like, he is now dating Jessica, who he was not dating before. He was dating Emily before, but now he is dating Jessica. Ooh, the drama, you know. So those two are at each other now. You know, before if you look at see the beginning of the game, Jessica's like, oh, I'm gonna help my girl out because this other girl liking her guy, blah blah blah. Whatever, chick. You was into him too. Apparently you dating him now. And Emily's now dating Matt. And she treats him like a lap dog. Like, do what I said. Matt, why you putting up with this? Matt's a very, like, yes, you do that. Like, I really can't stand that. So they get into, like, a slight argument when they're in the lodge, Emily and Jessica, because it's the jealousy thing. And from what they show, because you can look through a little, like binocular thing up on the cliff, when you have Ashley, the instigator of the group, she's like, oh, I see Emily talking to Mike, and they look like they're getting a little chummy. They're supposedly broken up. Why they getting chummy? So you can either tell him right there, this is one of your idea of how you pick and then choices. You can tell Matt right there, like, well, look in the binoculars, and he'll see it like, what's going on? What are you doing? Type of situation, which can cause something to happen after that once they meet up. But again, that's a choice. All this drama's going on with who's with who and all that. They're supposed to be just commemorating that the girls were missing, they considered missing, no one found their bodies. He's trying to bring them all together, he says. So that's the plot. That's where it starts. We know from last time something was in the woods. Something was in the woods that chased the twin girls. So what about that? Let's go ahead and move on to what starts things off. Josh goes off. The hot water isn't working, so he goes and, you know, he has to get the hot water working for Sam to take her bath. So you have to go down the basement, blah blah blah. You get the water going, heater back on. There's some jump scare stuff occurs. Then, you know, everybody's separated. Josh is kind of setting things up a little bit. If you at, you know, at this point, you're like, okay, what's going on here? So Josh is setting a few things up, like, oh, you guys go over here and do this and check that, blah, blah. And so they do. Everybody's split into teams, kind of. You have Ashley and Chris. Josh and Sam at first, and then they split off. And then you have Jessica and Mike. And then you have Emily and Matt. And Matt and Emily have a little disagreement, like, whatever, because he's like, you know, if you do pick certain things, he'd be like, well, what was you doing with Mike and stuff? And so you each got their scenario of things happening. Fast forward, they're going through, like, all of a sudden there's like these traps all over the place, like things are happening, popping off, okay, and they don't know what's going on. Like, was there somebody else here? Who's doing this? What's going on? Is there a killer here? Like, this is getting serious. Like, okay. Then Sam ends up by herself. Like, so Sam is solo, you know, at one point. Like, she ends up coming out the bath because there is no power. So the power goes out. So then there's candles lit. And when she comes out, like, what's going on? And her clothes are gone. Like, she's just in her towel. And then it goes to Ashley and Chris, because they're also off by themselves. And then they're coming across, like, traps and stuff and weird stuff, okay? But then they come across, like, a part where she gets hit, like, punched in the face by somebody. At the same time, you switch into Sam, and Sam getting chased by this dude in a mask, and he's like, ha ha, Sam, blah, 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 and I was watching you in the bath. And then she's running, and you can hide. He cannot catch you if you hide good, or he will gas you, and you end up in a room and stuff. So that's a choice too. And then meanwhile, of course, the other ones are off doing their things, and you're playing with each group of people, except for Sam, who's by herself. Then it gets to the scenario with Ashley and Chris, and then Josh is caught, and Josh is strapped to a wall, and so is Ashley. Josh is cut in half. Like, he gets cut in half, and either way you pick, he getting cut in half. Okay, I'm just telling you right now. Like, he gets cut in half no matter what you do. Like, you could pick Ashley or you could pick Josh. He getting cut in half. It's set up that way. Like, he getting cut in half. Okay, so they're like, oh my God, Josh is dead. And then when they see, like, Emily and Matt later, like, oh my God, killer, he like murdered Josh, and you're like, what are you talking about? So all this thriller type stuff is going on, suspense and thriller going on. So it's popping off. We don't know what's going on. We know there's a killer here. We don't know what's happening. They know why they came up there for this gathering of the anniversary of the girls dying and stuff like that. But it's getting kind of crazy. It's getting kind of weird. Now we to the plot thickening. Josh has been killed. And then, you know, they have Emily and Matt going up to the tower, and they kind of call for help. And then you have Mike and Jessica up at the cabin part of on the property. They are just trying to mess around. Like, they grab make out and stuff. Jessica hears someone outside the cabin after they got chased kind of into the cabin. Then they kind of like, okay, well, it must have been a bear or something. Okay, sure, it's a bear. She hears something. Then her phone, she had dropped it outside while they were running, and then the phone gets thrown inside through a window. Then she's like, oh, she thinks they're friends. She thinks they try to mess with them. So she goes to the door and like, listen, we going to do it. She says, we going to fuck. you know. But she's like, we want to do it. And like, nothing you gonna do about it. La, 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 la. So get out of here, blah. She go back in and Mike looks at her and then the arm reaches through and pulls her through the window of the door. Like a creature hand. Dum, dum, dum. Plot thickens. The monster has arrived. Okay, it's been there the whole time. It was there before years ago when the girls got this bad chase, okay? And Mike's like crazy, okay? So Mike's trying, that's his girl right now. So he's like a hero type. Like he chases her down. Like he trying to get to her. She's screaming while something dragging her through the woods. He gets his gun. Nicole, my boy, got a tank top on, okay? And his jeans. And he chasing her through. This girl could either be in her underwear or just like a tank top in her jeans. Depends on how far y'all got before that attack happened. And then like if you keep up and everything, you'll see her be on the elevator and she gets dropped. So he thinks she's dead, okay? The girl's tore up too because whatever had her was like, I'm gonna beat you up, girl. At this point, you know it's a monster now. Like, you know there is a monster and it's trying to kill everybody, okay? You know it's a monster, you know it's trying to kill everybody. So now you know it's not just like a serial killer dude out here messing around. Like, you know that. And so long and behold, as the plot thickens, Ashley and Chris run into the killer person that was like supposed to be the person doing it, but you also got a monster at this time. And it's Josh. And he takes his mask off and he's like, isn't this like, you know, what you guys like doing pranks and stuff? Like, my boy mad, okay? Like, and literally I mean mad, like he's going mad. Like, but it was good reason. Like, I'm not joking. Like, y'all had it coming. I'm just saying, like, people can say whatever they want. They could try not be on Josh's side or whatever the case. But guess what? What they did was not cool, okay? There's consequences to your actions. You bully people, something might not end well for you. So keep that in mind if you plan on bullying somebody and think you're pulling pranks. Maybe don't treat people like crap. Maybe that. It's Josh. He's been doing all the, like, humanness part of it. And they think Josh has been doing all of it once they all catch up. And then Mike is like, I couldn't save Jessica. He killed Jessica. Like, she's dead. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, so they lock him in a little building that's outside. Like, they lock him out there, like, on his own property. And they're like, well, you did the thing. Like, they're so big deal. Like, y'all pulled prank and 2 people died. What about that? Then there's still another dude that shows up who's trying to, like, they think is threatening, but he actually trying to help them. And he's been out there for a minute, and he knows about the creatures that are there, which are Wendigos. And in the case of the Wendigo, if you get the Wendigo curse and you eat human flesh, then you turn into a Wendigo. The Wendigo is the creature that's been going around doing things. Like, the tower gets knocked down while Emily and Matt are out there, and then they separate, and you can make a choice to help Emily at this point, or you can leave her. I left her. I left her there because I don't like Emily. But the girl's a survivor, I'll give her that. So I leave her there, and you know, she's like, this guy, because she was kind of like cheating on him. She was cheating with Mike, her ex, from time to time, whatever the heck. You know, that's what they're indicating. So I leave her. Long story short, she gets left. You don't have to do that, but that's what I did. Anyway, so that happens. Wendigo like cuts the thing, goes down, all bunch of fire. She ends up like far down in the cavern part. A lot goes on. I'm not going to go into every detail because it would take way longer to go through all this stuff. But you'll see from some of the clips of what happens, okay? So, the guy who is down there, he has a flamethrower because the Wendigos don't like fire. So he kind of helps her out. And, you know, she's afraid of him at first. Like, she thinks he's like, oh, but she can't outrun him anyway. Remember I mentioned about your choices? Throughout the game, the choices that you make towards the other people will matter if you live or die. Like a good example is Chris could die when he's with the guy who was helping them, but they thought was after them. When he's trying to get back in the lodge, when everyone's trying to get back in from outside, and he's with that guy because they went out to check on Josh, who they locked out. Is a monster, at least, okay? They locked him out there, so they were gonna go check. He's like, he's my friend, and they found out, like, it's not him, it's a monster, so let me go, you know, once Emily got back, she told them, like, there was a monster, and they're like, what? So, like, we need to get Josh, is what he says, and they're like, well, leave him out there. No, I'm gonna get my friend. They go out to get Josh, Chris and the guy, and they got the gun. They're like, oh god, and the thing chases them back. So you have to try not to trip. Try not to trip. That happens actually in a good portion of the game. Try not to trip on things, and it prompts you. So you have like button press prompts that you gotta press. So try not to trip. So if you make it back to the door, if you pissed off Ashley, okay, if you made her upset on a very specific part, and it was when they found out Josh was the one behind the pranks and things, if you pull the trigger, because he kind of has a little gun, like Saw type of situation, and if you pull the trigger, even though it's blanks, there are blanks in the gun. If he pulls the trigger, she's going to remember that. Like, Ashley will remember this. Okay? She's going to fuck him right there. Like, he's getting killed. The Wendigo will knock his head off because she didn't open the door. Ashley's vindictive. I'm just telling you, okay? People who, like, all like Ashley and stuff, they need to stop because she's not a good person. She's not a good person. Only one of the people that was even sorry what went down with the twins was Jessica. And Ashley was like trying to make up excuses. One of those people that doesn't want to admit that they were trash, okay, to somebody. All right, she's trash, complete trash, okay. So anyway, that type of choice could get one of your characters killed. And if you're trying to be like, I'm gonna get everybody to live, then you really be careful what you choose to do. And sometimes you don't realize what could lead to that, okay? You've been warned if you play this. Once you have gotten to a certain point in the game, you're nearing the end of the game, okay? So with that, you know it's a monster after you. The dude who's helping is dead at this point, because when they all get back in the lodge, the Wendigo kills him. That's the part with Chris trying to get back in. So he dies. He does not make it back in. Josh is nowhere to be found. He is not chained up where they had him out there. So that's a lost cause. It seemed the monster totally got him. Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. You have a sequence again where you have to make a choice that's important, where Mike can shoot Emily. They're all hiding, and you can make a choice here whether to shoot her or not. She is not going to become a Wendigo. If you read the book, you'll read the book. Ashley, Miss Instigator, will read the book and find out, no, even though I instigated him to shoot her, because she's an instigator, like I said, then you'll have killed her for nothing. Even though I don't like Emily and she had it coming. Like, I wouldn't, like, you can shoot her because, like, it's not like she didn't deserve it. I'm just saying. My girl's a survivor, though, because she made it out of that lower area. She got away from the Wendigo, you know. It's a lot going on. You have a lot of characters to deal with, you know. So, yeah. Until Dawn is a really cool game. It has a lot of choices, in my opinion. You could have more control, but that's just not how this is. But it's a good amount of control of who dies, who lives and dies. Your choices do control that. And there's one part that I like, and I always choose this. Like, I always choose it no matter what. I don't like Ashley. I'm sure you probably figured that out by now. I always kill Ashley. I always make sure she gets killed. And it's like the usual horror thing. Like, I hear a voice, and she would go. Now, I'm just going to explain something to you real quick. You can choose to do things in this game. Your choices, of course, again. But some of these characters would not do the things that you may choose to do as far as their personality. There are charts on the game, like when your relationship things build or go negative, and they have personality traits of these characters. Ashley is not a good person. I don't care what anyone wants to portray and think she is. Maybe they feel that way because maybe they also bullied people or pranked people and then tried to act as if they didn't do anything, so it makes them feel like they are kinship with her. She's a terrible person, so don't try to mold yourself after Ashley, okay? And it does a voice thing where it's like Jessica is calling her when they go down into like tunnel thing, and then they're going to get through, they gotta go through the cave area. So they're going down, and then she kind of lags behind a little bit, and she's kind of being smart to Chris right here. Like, she's like, either you save him or not. She's kind of like, hurry up. What, even though he's injured, but okay. Her true self shining through. And then you could choose to go check out the voice. That sounds like Jessica. By the way, Wendigo can pretend like it's somebody's voice. It can throw his voice and make it sound like it's somebody else, but it's the Wendigo. It's the Wendigo, okay? So you can make her go check out that and separate from the direction everybody else went and check out the voice, because she would. I'm just letting you know now. She would, because she feels guilty. She's a crappy person, but she still feels guilty about what happened because she was a much of an instigator, and she still was kind of like, well, let me try to shrug it off like I didn't really do anything type, but she felt guilty inside, okay? So the guilt would get her about things that went down, and then she's like, well, let me try to redeem myself by doing this. So she would go, she went and checked the voice out, and then she's like, hello, and then Wendy takes her freaking head off, which I'm like, yes. Anyway, you can make these choices. So anyway, I always kill her rather I don't kill everyone else or not. I'm just saying. I didn't shoot Emily in the eye, but I think that he did shoot Emily. I think he did. Because he would have believed that she could turn to it. He was kind of freaked out because he had to run out of the whole place and blow up a whole bunch of Wendigos. I think he was freaked out enough to do it and listen to Ashley's instigating. And he would have regretted it. And he would have shot her. But you don't have to choose to do that, okay? So that's the thing about the choices. They do matter on the outcome of who lives. We are at the ending and what happens. And so it's time for the closing of Until Dawn. My final thoughts and the closing are next. So I really like Until Dawn. The story is very involving. You're very involved. No lie. Okay. You are very involved. Your choices matter as far as like who lives and who dies. Okay. And some things could occur, and at the end it will show those differences, okay? As far as the characters I liked and did not like, I didn't really like anybody but Josh. I didn't have a problem with the sisters. They weren't around very long. Now, I'm about to give a real big spoiler, okay? If you still plan on playing this game, and you do not like to have things spoiled for you, and you do not like to know things about the story, then you need to skip this. Just go ahead and skip to near the end. And you see my makeup all finished. Alright, you ready? Hannah became a Wendigo. Okay? She ripped Jessica out the door like that because she still had feelings for Mike. Bum bum bum. She retained some of her memories of when she was alive. She fell down there with her sister Beth. Beth died immediately. Hannah did not. She was broken up, barely alive, and the curse is in this place. So she ate her sister's remains. You find, if you're paying attention, if you're checking your surroundings in the game, you find notes down there, evidence of that she was alive, that she ate her sister, a little grave of Beth down there that she buried her as she turned into a Wendigo. It's very sad and twisted, and that's the way it goes. And then if the people die throughout the game, like if you lose people's heads, purpose or not, their heads will be in a room down there if you search that she killed them, and she collecting like their heads down there, you know. So at one point in the game, once you get, you're near the end, dawn is almost here, Until Dawn, and you're trying to survive it and make it to the end, trying to get out of the lower caverns and such. You come across Hannah, that is the Wendigo. Now she looks terrible, by the way, and she grabs Josh because you actually save Josh, meet up with Josh, and he's having a mental breakdown, more so hallucinations and things. And so you come across him with Mike and Sam. They kind of separate. Sam goes to climb up, then you have them separate from her, and she gets Josh. Now, depending on your choice of what you did, whether you found something or not, she will either kill him right there or drag him away. Mike hides kind of like behind a rock, so he makes it, but Mike again has like plot armor on. Mike doesn't die. My final look and also my final thoughts. I really liked Until Dawn. Very cool game. I really do like Supermassive games. Good developer. Until Dawn may have been my favorite one, even though I like the other games that's after that. Like I mentioned, a lot of people doesn't necessarily like the Query, but I really like the Query. I like werewolves too. But the ending of Until Dawn is calm after the fact. You have a showdown with the Wendigos at the lodge, and the outcome will be based on your prompts of if you survive those or not survive those, do the right thing. Who you have left at the end kind of shows how that scenario plays out depending on who's left. Only one that's really separated from the other group of people would be Jessica and Matt. Josh's fate is pretty much tied. I was upset about that because I really liked Josh. I think he got a raw end of the deal, to be honest, especially with what he went through. And that's why I think a lot of them deserve to get the usual horror ending where they don't make it. I'm just saying, I don't think that they deserve to make it out. Like, anyway, maybe some of them could be okay with making out. Jessica, possibly, I could be okay with her making it out, but everyone else is kind of like, wouldn't be sad if they didn't, so to speak. So again, Until Dawn is a great horror game. Great story told through this with a thriller, suspense, monster-esque horror game. I definitely recommend it. If you don't play video games, I recommend watching a playthrough of it because the story is good. And it's interesting to see how some players decide to do what they do with the characters, who they allow to live, the mistakes that they make, you know, those type of things. That being said, like I said, Josh is my favorite character. My least favorite is Ashley and Emily. Ashley and Emily. This when Emily was like, I stop praying, hell no. Like, when she did that part, I just want to punch her in the face. So bad. I don't have anything negative to really say about the game besides I didn't like that they did what they did with Josh. But that's the way stories work sometimes. Things don't always turn out the way you want them to. That's the way it is, you know what I'm saying? So, try out Until Dawn, watch Until Dawn if you don't play games. But, yeah. Good game. Good game, Supermassive. Good job on that one. I beat this a long bit ago, but I decided to do it for my Mistress Moon Candlelight. I'm not sure what I'll be covering next time. It could be a book, could be a movie, but I try to switch it up each time between the three things: book, movie, or game. Horror based. It could be any genre of horror, but horror nonetheless. So I will see you in the next one. Stay scared.